Most people think the hardest part about failing a goal is having to start over. But starting over isn't the biggest cost. Think about a goal that has been attempted more than once, like exercising consistently. The first attempt usually feels different from the fourth. The goal hasn't changed. The person hasn't changed very much either. So why does the next attempt feel harder? Why does it become easier to give up before even getting started? The usual explanation is a lack of motivation. But that doesn't really answer the question. What changed between the first attempt and the fourth? A psychologist named Albert Bandura spent decades studying exactly that. His research suggests that every attempt changes something most people never notice. Not just experience, a belief about what will happen the next time. And that belief has a surprisingly large influence on whether someone follows through or gives up. Bandura called that belief self-efficacy. It's a simple idea. Before taking on something difficult, the brain makes a prediction. Can this actually be done? That prediction is built from experience. According to Bandura, there are 4 different places that experience comes from. Most people never separate them. They assume every failure means the same thing, but it doesn't. A failed attempt can weaken one source while leaving the other 3 untouched. That's why 2 people can go through the same setback and walk away with completely different beliefs about what they're capable of. The 4 sources are surprisingly ordinary. One comes from personal experience. Another comes from watching other people. The other 2 are much less obvious. The source with the biggest influence comes first. If self-efficacy is built from experience, the next question is obvious. What kind of experience? The first source is the most powerful one on average. But which one is weak varies from person to person. Think about learning to ride a bike. The first few attempts are usually awkward. There might be a few falls. Keeping balance takes complete concentration. Then something changes, little by little. One successful ride becomes 2. 2 become 10. Eventually, getting on a bike doesn't require much thought at all. The skill improved, and so did something else. The expectation that riding the bike would probably work. That's the first source of self-efficacy. Bandura called it mastery experience. Every successful attempt becomes evidence, proof the brain can point to and say, "I've done this before." That's why small wins matter. They become evidence the brain can use. This also explains why people often make change harder than it needs to be. A goal that's too large usually ends in failure. A smaller version creates something more useful, proof that progress is possible. But personal experience isn't the only source. The brain also learns by watching other people. Imagine someone who has never run 5 kilometers before. Watching an Olympic runner finish a marathon is impressive, but it doesn't necessarily make 5 kilometers feel more achievable. Now imagine watching someone the same age, with a similar fitness level, finish their very first 5-kilometer race. That feels different. The goal suddenly seems more realistic. Nothing has changed physically. The only new information is that someone similar managed to do it. Bandura called this vicarious experience. The brain borrows evidence from other people. The more similar that person's situation feels, the stronger the effect. That's why watching someone only a few steps ahead is often more helpful than watching an expert. Personal experience builds confidence through small, achievable steps, completed one at a time. Vicarious experience builds it differently. Watching someone in a similar position succeed makes the same task feel achievable. By this point, it might sound like self-efficacy is entirely built from experience. Do something enough times, or watch someone else do it, and the belief grows. But Bandura found that those aren't the only things shaping it. The next two sources are easy to miss. Most people never notice them, even though they're influencing decisions every day. The first is social persuasion. In simple terms, it's the feedback received from other people. At first, that might sound like encouragement. But Bandura meant something more specific. Consider a new hire in their first month on a sales team. Their manager tells them, "Just keep at it, you'll get there." 3 months later, a senior colleague listens to one of their calls and points out something specific. The last call worked because they paused before mentioning the price instead of rushing through it. The manager's comment barely registers a week later. The colleague's comment changes how the next 10 calls are handled. Specific, believable feedback carries more weight than empty praise because it feels credible. The final source is even easier to miss. It's called physiological and emotional state. Every difficult task comes with physical signals: a faster heartbeat, sweaty hands, a tight feeling in the stomach. Consider two people about to present to their department. Both feel the same tightness in the chest in the minutes before walking in. One reads it as proof they aren't ready. The other reads it as what the body always does before something that actually matters. Their heart rates are nearly identical walking through the door. What happens in the next 10 minutes is not. The body hasn't changed, only the meaning attached to the feeling has. At this point, all four sources are on the table: personal experience, watching other people, feedback from others, and the way physical and emotional signals are interpreted. They're all answering the same question: can this actually be done? But they don't always contribute equally. For most people, one of them has a much bigger influence than the others. The challenge is figuring out which one. Before going further, it helps to separate self-efficacy from what it isn't measuring. It gets confused with a few other things constantly. The first mix-up is confidence. Confidence usually describes a general sense of self-assurance that follows someone across situations. Self-efficacy works differently. It's specific to one task, one domain, one exact kind of challenge. Someone can walk into a boardroom with total confidence and feel none of that same certainty standing at the base of a climbing wall. Both beliefs exist in the same person at the same time, and neither one predicts the other. The second mix-up is self-talk. Repeating a phrase like, "I can do this," is often treated as the fastest way to build belief. It isn't the same thing as the third source. Bandura's actual third source is persuasion from other people. Credible, specific feedback. And even that is generally considered weaker and shorter-lived than mastery experience or watching someone similar succeed. Self-talk alone, without any of the other three sources behind it, rarely moves the belief on its own. The third mix-up is about skill. Being good at something and believing someone is good at it are two different things. Someone can be really good at soccer and still feel like they're bad at it. That happens more than people think. Even really good players, sometimes, don't believe in themselves. The opposite happens too. Someone can be brand new at something, barely practiced at all, and still feel totally sure they'll do great. Belief comes from four sources: actually doing it and succeeding, watching someone else do it, hearing feedback from people, and noticing how the body feels right before trying. Being skilled isn't one of those four sources. That's why belief and skill don't always line up. If someone thinks they're the same thing, they might fix the wrong problem. They might practice something they're already good at for months and months, when the real problem was one of those four sources all along. None of this changes what the four sources actually are. It just changes what to look for. If someone tries the wrong fix, more pep talks, more self-talk, more people saying, "You'll be fine," it can feel like things are getting better. But the real weak spot never actually gets fixed. The four sources don't work alone. They affect each other, in good ways and bad ways. Say someone has a weak mastery experience in something. They don't have much real proof yet that they can actually do it. That doesn't just lower their confidence to try again. It also changes who feels safe to learn from. An expert can feel too far ahead to learn anything from. A total beginner can feel too similar to teach anything useful. So the vicarious experience source gets weaker too. A weak mastery experience also changes which feedback actually gets believed. Trusting specific feedback usually means believing the person giving it has actually seen real progress. Without much progress to show, even good feedback can get brushed off as someone just being nice. So the social persuasion source gets weaker too. And a weak mastery experience raises the pressure on the next attempt. That pressure shows up in the body. A faster heartbeat, a tighter chest. Without a track record to explain those feelings any other way, they get read as proof of not being ready. So the physiological and emotional state source gets affected too. One weak source rarely stays by itself. It changes how the other three sources get used. The same thing works the other way too. One real success doesn't just add proof. It makes a good role model easier to spot, feedback easier to trust, and nerves easier to read as excitement instead of danger. That's why small wins matter more than they seem to. They don't just add one piece of proof. They help the other three sources start working properly again. It's tempting to think that low self-efficacy means all four sources are weak. Usually, that's not what happens. More often, one source is missing while the others are doing their job. The solution is to identify what's actually missing, then apply the specific fix for that source, not a general one. Start with personal experience. Has there been at least one meaningful success, even short of the finished result? If the answer is no, the belief has very little evidence to build on. The fix is a version of the task small enough to complete within a week. Repeat it at least 3 times before attempting anything larger. The goal isn't the finished result. The goal is a track record. If there have already been successes, look at the second source. Who has been setting the standard? Experts, influencers, people years ahead, or people who started from roughly the same place. The brain learns much more from examples that feel attainable. The fix here is specific. Find one person, not a category of people, who started within the last year from a similar position, and follow their actual process rather than their highlight reel. Then look at the people giving feedback. Is the encouragement specific enough to point out real progress, or has it become background noise? The fix is to ask one direct question of someone who understands the task. What exactly changed between the last attempt and this one? A vague answer means the wrong person is giving feedback. A specific answer is evidence worth keeping. Finally, pay attention to the body's signals. When a difficult task creates anxiety or discomfort, what story follows? This is a sign to stop, or this is what doing something difficult feels like. The fix isn't eliminating the physical response. That isn't realistic and isn't the goal. The fix is deciding in advance which story gets told the next time the signal shows up, before the body decides by default. Those interpretations matter because every one of those sources feeds the same belief, and that belief influences every future attempt. The encouraging part is that none of these sources are fixed. Every one of them can be strengthened on purpose. According to Bandura, Self-efficacy is something that's constantly being built, one experience at a time. Every one of those 4 sources gets built the same way, one experience at a time. But those experiences don't stay contained to the person having them. Vicarious experience has always meant borrowing some shape of belief from watching someone else succeed, someone close enough in position to make that success feel reachable. That borrowing was never one-directional. The moment someone has real proof that they can succeed, their position changes. They are no longer just watching someone else and thinking, maybe I could do that. Now, someone else can look at them and think the same thing. The belief that once came from watching another person succeed can now come from watching them. The distance between the person watching and the person being watched hasn't really changed. The only difference is which side of that moment they are standing on. The 4 sources build the belief. That belief becomes the next person's reason to start.